Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. For the support of this declaration, with a firm reliance on the protection of the divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. The Declaration of Independence. Ladies and gentlemen, right now here comes Kate Smith and God Bless America, followed by a Patriot with our Pledge of Allegiance and Good Morning the day before Independence Day. And a good morning to you and yours on this Tuesday, July the 3rd. I'm Zeb Bell, Zeb at the Ranch with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you. Get ready for a road trip. Be sure and stop in there. They can help you with the best of tires. And along with some of our great advertisers like Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Right now, let's go to the phone line and have our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning.
And good morning to you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the country for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sir, I appreciate your call. Thank you very much, and I hope you have a wonderful Independence Day tomorrow. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, but right now let's go to the weather forecast. And the weather brought to you by K&R Rental. Hello, Roger. They've got all your tools and equipment over there to finish almost any job. They got the mowers and the seeding equipment and the rototillers. I went by there yesterday. I was in a hurry to get back home, but oh my goodness, have they got a full front yard, let me tell you. K&R Rental, 256 South, 600 west of Hayburn, right there on the Burley-Paul Highway. Number to call, 678-3122. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Here's your weather forecast as we are on the eve of Independence Day, and we're expecting sunny skies with a high of 75, slightly breezy winds out of the west, right around 15 miles an hour. We are expecting gusts as high as 25 tonight, mostly clear with a low of 43. Tomorrow for Independence Day, sunny and beautiful, expecting a high of 88. Mostly clear skies for Wednesday evening with a low of 55. It is going to be windy for Wednesday night as well. Thursday, sunny skies with a high of 94. Then by Friday, sunny and hot, close to triple digits. That's your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
Wow. Thank you, Gina. Appreciate it. And the weather brought to you by K&R Rental at 256 South, 600 west of Hayburn on the Burley-Paul Highway. Give them a call. Stop in. They've got all the tools and equipment you need. Number to call, 678-3122, K&R Rental. Want to also mention there will not be a sale at the Burley Livestock Sale Yard this week at 1100 Occidental Avenue in Burley. And Merv May, Cade Rogge, and Lance Udy are going to be celebrating our Independence Day week. And no sale this week at Burley Livestock, but they'll be back next week serving you the sale that works for you. Burley Livestock Sale Yard, no sale this Thursday. Okay. And quickly also, I want to remind you about our friends at Darrell's Cleaners. I know a lot of you're going to be all decked out in your red, white, and blue finest for tomorrow on Independence Day. And probably with the temperatures escalating, a lot of white. Well, anyway, after the holiday's over, be sure and take all those clothes back in to be cleaned at Darrell's Cleaners at 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. They are the best. I don't care what it is, shirts, dresses, sports jackets, Wranglers, you name it, they can make sure they come back to you looking brand spanking new. Darrell's Cleaners, as I almost knocked the microphone over at 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. All right, calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. A very, very dear friend of mine is having a birthday on this Sunday, and I've known him for a long, long time, and I want to give a great big shout-out for a happy birthday on this coming Sunday to Gerald Sievers in Kimberly. Gerald, if you're listening, the very best of birthdays to you, and be sure and save a little ice cream and a little cake. Deanna and I'll be by to see you. Gerald Sievers having a birthday on Sunday. Calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. By the way, all, and this isn't bragging, this is a fact, all your heating, cooling, and electrical needs are right there at Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Number to call is 678-0459. They get there early in the morning at 7:30 to 5 Monday through Friday. And sounds to me like you might be cranking the AC on the next couple of days, getting up there into the 90s. Well, make sure you got clean filters for that air conditioning unit. You can buy them by one or a case of 12 at Ramsey Heating and Electric, 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. You stop in and see them today. You know, I would say this tomorrow on Independence Day. Wherever you are, hold on, caller, don't go away. Wherever you are or whatever you're doing tomorrow on Independence Day, stop, look at our flag, and pray for our country. Pray, if you would, for the healing and common sense that is necessary to keep this country going. Nonpartisan common sense. That's what we need. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. I'm thinking in my mind of 60 years ago what one of my employers told me, and I'll always remember it. He said, "Don't confuse me with the facts. My mind is made up." And
Okay.
I've thought of that many, many, many times. And that's what our problem is right now. The Democrats are saying, well, no, we're not going to vote for anybody on this confirmation.
Yeah.
Our mind is made up, and don't confuse us with the facts.
Well, the Democrats have turned into the party of no. No, 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 no. Never, because they hate Trump. It's not because of the political choices. I honestly believe that. It's just because they've turned into the party of no. They've turned into a party of socialism and leftism. And I'm very concerned. What I said just a moment ago about praying for healing and common sense in this country, I am going to do that. I am going to pray for common sense and healing in this country, but I'm also skeptical that it will return.
You know, I was flipping through the channels, and I come to the Fox channel, whatever the heck that is. Can't remember now. But anyway, this Lawrence O'Donnell was on there, and he was talking, and for once in the time I've heard him, this guy was making sense. He said he was talking about socialism and how it's affected our country. Social Security was the first form of socialism, and then we come to Medicare, another form of socialism.
Right.
And he says it is intermingled in our lifestyle, and what are we going to do to get rid of it?
Well, there's a lot of things that we can't get rid of because they've grown like a cancerous situation in our society, and the dependability on some of those situations is such that I don't know how you're ever going to get rid of them out of our government and out of our society. Keith, I think that we've got a lot of things we're going to have to bear up and try to shore up and try to make better, but I don't think you're going to get rid of them.
You aren't. It's just like the camel sticking his nose in the tent, wanting to get out of the sandstorm.
Yep.
You let his nose in, and then pretty soon he's in there, and you're out.
Absolutely. Hey, listen, you and Nancy have a great Independence Day tomorrow. God bless you, man, for your calls. I appreciate it.
I hope you have a wonderful time.
All right, sir. Thank you very, very much. Appreciate that. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Don't forget Denny's Restaurant. What a great way to spend Independence Day. Maybe before the parade or anything, any parade you're going to or festivities, stop in at Denny's Restaurant at 611 North Overland and Burley, America's Diner. Oh, yes. And check out all the new menu items, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, anytime, all the time. And don't forget they also have a Denny's Restaurant. It's at 291 Pole Line Road in Twin Falls. Ho, ho! The home of Zeb's Lunch Bunch. And the food is great. The people are so nice. And that's Denny's Restaurant in Burley, America's Diner. Also, our thanks go out to our friends over at Pomerel Place. Hello, how are you doing over there? We're very, very thankful to have them on the air with us, and they're going to be having a health fair on July 18th from 8 to noon, and they're going to have vendors and lots of prizes. And this is all at Pomerel Place, a place for senior living at 1301 Bennett Street in Burley. And the number to call and find out more information, 677-8212. And I understand the Cassia Regional Hospital is going to be over there for the blood draws, and going to be a lot of fun, too. And they've got some really, really nice door prizes provided. So don't forget that at Pomerel Place on July the 18th. Okay? Calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I thought when I first heard this, honestly, I thought it was a joke. I did. And then I did a little checking on my own and found out that it's not a funny joke. It's just absolutely stupid. And thank you, my lovely bride pulled the story on it that I thought I'd pass to you. The International Olympic Committee, the IOC, is actually considering, I know you're going to think I've fallen off on the deep end on my head right now, they're actually considering entering esports into the Olympic Games possibly by 2020. You know what that is? Video gaming. Competitive video gaming into the Olympics. Whatever happened to athletic ability? You know, this is insane. Competitive video gaming to the Olympics? And then their quote was, the aim of the forum that we're going to have is to explore synergies, build joint understanding, and set a platform for future engagement between the esports and gaming industries and the Olympic movement. You know, gone are the days of respecting and working out as an athlete to become the best you can be in your respective sport, whether it's running, whether it's track and field events, the shot put, the discus, the high hurdles, whatever the case might be. But now I've lost my respect totally for the Olympics if they think that this might be a potential addition to the games. Competitive video gaming? Oh, I can't wait to hear from you on this. Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Oh, the world is really messed up. And then I'm going to tell you a story about the idiocy, and it is, of transgenderism in the sports world and how it's hurting the girls. And it is. Don't forget Dino Septic Service. And, of course, they do a job that you and I don't want to do. No. They do it with a big smile on their face, and they send over that big truck called Smells Cargo on the way. Dino Septic Service, septic tanks, pumps, septic tanks, and drain fields installed. And, of course, sewer and sink drain lines clean, liquid waste removal. Oh, my, call them today. Yes, sirree, Bobby. And the number 436-6526. And in Burley, 678-1638. Dino Septic Service serving you. Fast, fair, friendly service. Get a hold of them today. Come on, give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. It gets lonely in this old, cold studio, and it is kind of chilly in here this morning. Hey, don't forget Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. And Nick Greenwell, the head of all the physical therapists and his staff, they are wonderful, smart, educated, and they know all the exercises to help you get back to being you. Get rid of those aches and pains and recoup from a surgery. They've also got that hydrotherapy pool over there, the only one of its kind around. Woo-hoo! Help me. They can help you. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, and the number 678-1191. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Mr. Stone. You know, why don't they just put in there with the Olympics babysitting?
Yeah.
As babysitters. You know, that's what the internet and your DVDs have become, is babysitters of the world.
Donna, I don't know how much time you spend on the computer, nor is it any of my business. But I think that Deanne, I think it's safe to say she hates, underline the word hates, the computer. The only reason she gets on the computer is to help me with some of the paperwork I need for my business. And I personally, I don't spend, I'll bet you on an average month, I do not spend an hour on the computer. I hate it. I don't like being tied down to it. I want to get outside and do things. But to make this a part of the International Olympics as an event, this is insanity.
Oh, it definitely is. I don't spend a whole lot of time. Usually ours is just looking up stuff for the POWMIAs and our veterans programs. But, you know, if you stop and look at it, there's a lot of parents out there who put their kids in front of a DVD or a Game Boy or whatever those things are, and that's the babysitter.
Yeah.
Whatever happened to parenting, and whatever happened to the art and the accomplished feeling of competing and winning, trying your best to beat out your opponent? Whatever happened to that?
You know what you just said about the kids, though, and I know some families, I'm not going to mention any names naturally, but I know some families where their kids, they stay in the basement area, and they stay on that computer from the time that they get up in the morning until the time they go to bed at night. This is not healthy. This is not a life. This is not what God intended for anybody. This is insanity.
Yeah, you're definitely right. I know quite a few people. You know, even with our grandchildren, we play games with them, we interact with them. They help us outside. That's part of the problem. You know, parents don't parent anymore.
Well, we've lost sight of the fact that when mom and dad are gone and the kids are going to be on their own, how self-reliant and self-sufficient are they going to be when they don't know anything except staying in a basement and playing Game Boys?
They're not.
That's right.
They're not going to be ready for society. But as far as entering the gaming in the Olympics, that's just absurd.
It's more than that, but we can't use the other verbiage on the program, so thank you very much. Hey, when do the cruisers come back?
You know what? They just They just docked in Seattle. I'm going to go up and pick them up at 2:45 today.
Well, for heaven's sakes, I can't wait to talk to him. It sounds like it's going to be really interesting. Thank you so much for your call. Have a wonderful Independence Day.
I will, and you also.
All right, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks to Deanne. She just handed me some more birthdays that are really important to put on the air today, because today Kathy Benson is having a birthday. Happy birthday to you. Hello, Kathy. And then tomorrow on Independence Day is my son's birthday. Jake is going to have his birthday tomorrow. He's a firecracker baby. And then on Thursday, a dear, dear friend of this program and to us for many, many years. And believe me, I learned more about fishing in one day with him than I did all my life, and that's Fred Preston. Happy birthday to all those people and many, many more. Wheels, may we please have a good word for the Silver State Stampede?
PRCA Rodeo Action thunders into Elko, July 13th, 14th, and 15th at the Elko County Fairgrounds. 3 big days for the 2018 Silver State Stampede. Nevada's oldest rodeo is family entertainment at its finest. This PRCA rodeo brings you the thrill of pro riders going head-to-head in one of the toughest sports in the world. Action kicks off Friday, July 13th with mutton busting, a delicious tri-tip dinner, the Calcutta, Old West bronc riding, PRCA rodeo action, the world-famous Ring of Fear, and dancing to the Jeff Palmer Band. Gates open on Friday and Saturday at 4 with mutton busting starting at 6 and rodeo action starting at 7. And on Sunday, gates open at noon with mutton busting at 1 and the rodeo action starting at 2. Tickets on sale now at the Boot Barn and the Elko Chamber office. Rodeo action at its finest. With the 2018 Silver State Stampede, July 13th, 14th, and 15th at the Elko County Fairgrounds. For more information, contact silverstatestampede.com.
Here we go again, folks, with another story of complete lunacy. Back in Connecticut, transgender boys were allowed to compete against girls at a girls' track meet. And they won. They beat the girls. This is absolute lunacy. And everybody's going, oh, gee, that's not fair. Why, we can't let them do that. Of course you can't let them do that. But you did. Transgenderism is taking over and taking a hold of a lot of things in our country, and it's not right. So put your foot down like Texas did, and they said, wait a minute, you can compete, but you're going to compete in your birth gender. If you were born a boy, you're going to compete that way. If you were born a girl, you're going to compete that way. You don't like it? Stay home. Don't compete. This caving in and capitulating to abnormalcy has got to stop. It's got to stop. It is killing Title IX for the girls. It's not fair in any way, shape, or form. We have seen some of these hulking, great big guys, one in particular that was about almost 7 foot, playing for a collegiate girls basketball team, and it is not fair. It is not right. It is not normal. You should compete as you are. And no changes, no allowances. But somebody started crying the blues back there and said, well, this isn't fair. Well, of course it's not. So do something to stop it. The problem is growing like a cancer all across the United States. A hideous, ugly cancer that's got to be stopped. If we're going to have any sense of value, any sense of record keeping about, well, Lisa Smith did this. Well, wait a minute. And then along came Matt Jones a year ago. He's a transgender, so we're going to allow him to compete, and he eradicated her record. That's not right. It's not right. It's not normal, and it's got to stop. Period. Texas, lead on. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. We're not going to back up for that at all. Do not forget all the fun events that are going on over at Rupert for their great big 4th of July activities that go on all week long celebrating Independence Day with the theme America Let's Celebrate. And the Grand Marshal, Steve and Diane Scow. Big, huge, world-famous parade tomorrow, I'm telling you. But today, for the 3rd, of course, they got just all kinds of great food booths over there. At 6 p.m. tonight, they've got the Sounds of Freedom entertainment in the park, and then they've got at 7:30 the country band called Drive, and at 6 tonight out at the fairgrounds, they have the world-famous Look Out NASCAR, they're coming after you, Firecracker 500 lawnmower races. That's going to be tonight, and then tomorrow, of course, the huge, really, really big parade at 11 o'clock at the Rupert 4th of July festivities for 2018. Don't you miss it. Going to be a lot of fun. Give me a call. Don't be cowardly. Come on, give me a call. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Please. There is an interesting story going around, and allegedly, well, underline that word, allegedly, there are some new little tidbits about the Iranian nuclear deal and what the Obama administration did or did not do or gave as extras to Iran. But there are claims coming out from some of the Iranian officials and others in that region that the Obama administration not only gave a whole bunch of money to Iran, but they also were coerced, and they said, gave U.S. citizenship to over 2,500 Iranian people. Why? Why? Now, of course, the Obama administration, there are people that still are back in D.C. They're going, oh, we did not do that. My goodness sakes, that is absolutely a lie. Well, they said a lot of things were a lie about the Iranian nuclear deal with the money and everything else. And I'm just wondering how much of this story, with the buku money and all the allowances, plus possibly this charge that 2,500 people were given U.S. citizenship by the Obama administration, kind of makes you scratch your head a little bit, doesn't it, and say, I wonder. Calls are 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Here's one that was really sick yesterday. Did you hear that unhinged despot over on MSNBC, a woman? She absolutely jumped up on a soapbox and was yelling and screaming on MSNBC that Sarah Huckabee Sanders has no right to a normal, happy family life. Let me go back and emphasize the words that she said. Sarah Sanders has no right to a normal, happy family life because she works for Donald Trump's administration. She said that basically Sarah Sanders has no right to happiness, and everybody on the left should hound her and bother her and ridicule her on a daily basis until she leaves. Wow. What would have happened if that would have been the Obama administration? Well, first of all, it wouldn't have happened. But it's okay to come after conservatives, Christians, and women on the right. But this is sick, saying that anybody that works for the Trump administration is basically fair game. They do not deserve to have a happy life away from their office or with their kids. and that the left is going to come after them. What are your thoughts on that? Give me a call, 436-2244. Scott Pruitt is the latest one that was eating lunch by himself in a cafeteria. And a woman walks up holding a baby and just starts berating him. And I got to hand it to Scott Pruitt because I could not probably, and I know I couldn't have handled it as cool as he did by just sitting there, not saying a word, going ahead and eating his lunch, and letting this woman spew her hatred at him and the Trump administration. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning. Just a quick thought about the transgender thing. I just think it's funny how liberalism can be so easily contradicted. The idea behind feminism is equality for for women to men. But when you have transgender boys competing against girls, that just kind of contradicts the whole idea behind equality for women.
Doesn't it totally destroy what started years and years ago with the Title IX funding for women's sports to give them more of a shout out and a leg up to go ahead and try to compete on the same financial scale as boys and men? And then when they allow these transgender sickos to come in there and compete on the girls' teams, it just destroys everything that they've worked for.
Absolutely, I think so. Just because a guy thinks he's a woman, he should be allowed to compete with other women is absolutely wrong. And, just the equality of women to men is just weird how they think that that's a good idea.
Well, how would you feel, honestly, I know how I'd feel, how would you feel if your daughter was involved in track and field? Let's say she ran the 100-yard dash, and she's beat by a boy transgender, and he gets the ribbon, he gets the accolades, he perhaps might win the state championship. That is disgusting because she's competing with someone that physically is more advanced and more muscular, etc., than she is, and she got beat out of her own chance to win a state title because of this silly and absolutely cancer-growing transgenderism.
Yeah, I'd be pretty upset about it.
We all should be. And Texas, the state of Texas said, no, you will compete in the event in your birth gender or you'll stay at home. And quite frankly, that's the way it should be.
And I would agree with that.
Sir, I want to wish you and your family a very happy Independence Day. God bless. Thank you for your call.
You too, Zeb.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. Calls welcome. What do you think about that? The world is messed up. And we're making allowances for ab and subnormal. And that's why we've lost our value system. That's it. We've lost our value system. Some of the parents that were interviewed about this mess back in Connecticut, they said, well, wait a minute. How can this transgender boy come in here and take the titles and the accolades away from our girls? He shouldn't be competing. Well, then maybe you as parents should jump all in the middle of the school board and say, that's enough. Not again. Not going to happen. No. That's what Texas did. Texas said, no, they're not going to cross-compete into the girls' events and take titles away. You're going to compete in your birth gender or, like I said a moment ago, stay home. Don't forget Barry Equipment and Rental, Sales, Service, and Parts, 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. Hello, 1 and 465 Addison Avenue West in Twin Falls with Eli, and also in Nampa. They've got all the equipment rentals. Yes, they do. All the retail equipment sales. Yes, they do. They've got the Walker lawnmowers. Man, I tell you what, when you get one of those Walkers, you'll mow up a storm. You'll leave your lawn and go to the neighbors and then mow the whole yard, every yard in the street. My goodness sakes, they're good. And don't forget, too, they got all the Bobcats, too. And if you don't know how to run them, they'll teach you. Okay? Barry Equipment and Rental, Sales, Service, and Parts. Burley, Twin Falls, and Nampa. Give me a call. Come on, don't weaken on me. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I honestly believe, and again, I don't care if somebody's offended because I'm going to speak it like it is, the truth. We've lost our value system in this country, and we've started to color in what's white is white, black is black. Now we're kind of shading in the middle with gray and saying, oh, okay, we'll give in here, we'll give in there. No, we should not. Our system, our value system in America has been severely weakened. Family values, religious values, Christian values, school values, etc., weakened because we kept painting in the gray. It's got to stop. Oh my, did you hear about this absolute... I don't know what they're going to do with this guy, but I hope that he never sees the light of day again. I know that he's going to go through court trials. I know that they're going to treat him with kid gloves. But back in Cleveland, a Muslim loyalist was going to blow up the 4th of July Independence Day parade tomorrow. And he was also going to go along the parade route, standby caller. He was going to go along the parade route and pass out little toys to the kids. But unfortunately, those weren't little toys. They were little toy bombs. And his goal was to kill and maim and destroy as many people as possible. They found him and stopped him. But he probably won't be the last. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
When they stopped him, did they give him a chance to redeem himself, or did they put him in behind bars right then and there?
Well, he's going to go through the court system, and you know what's going to happen, an elongation of our money, our tax dollars, and everything else. And I'm going to be very blunt, Chris. This doesn't sound real good to say, but hey, they caught the guy red-handed. He was passing out all these little mini bombs to destroy children's lives and family lives, and he had a plot to blow up the parade. Throw the son of a gun in the ocean.
Well, on the way out, give him a bunch of his little bombs to play with while he's on the way to the ocean.
I couldn't agree more. I am so sick and tired of the catering and the mellowing, if you will, of our laws and our rules in protection of our U.S. society. This guy, just take him out in the Pacific and say, how far can you swim? Well, I think I can swim 10 miles. Well, then go 15 miles.
Mm-hmm. Well, what has happened is, I think that we had a very liberal president. I think we all know who.
Oh, yeah.
And he was bound and determined to level the table for his folks. And we know who his folks were. And the problem is that I love America, and I think that the main thing that has made America so great is the diversity in our society. But the majority, and I really still believe it, of people who want to become Americans want to be Americans. But that little bit that come over here saying they want to be Americans, and we give them their rights, and then they're a chameleon, and when they really show their real loyalty to America, they're blowing people up.
Yep.
And we've got to have a better way of finding out what these people do.
I am absolutely in favor of the Trump travel ban, and I don't care about these bleeding heart liberals that say, oh, it's just another way for Trump to advocate white supremacy here in this country. I don't care about that garbage. I think these kooks and crackpots and these weirdos and terrorists that want to come in here, they're going to figure out a way, but we're going to slow them down with the travel ban, and I'm glad the Supreme Court saw the merit in it.
Yeah. Isn't it amazing how many Caucasians, that's what in my family we like to call us with white skin and blue eyes, are so eager to invite the enemy in But they want the enemy to move into your neighborhood,
Yeah.
not theirs.
Amen. And I'm just going to be very blunt on this program. I don't care what the story is. We've got to get back to the basics that made this country great, not what they're trying to do now to fragmentize and divide this country. We've got to stop it and change it. May I extend...
And I can tell you, my Asian family are more loyal Americans than a lot of Americans. And they all have served in the military to help keep this country free. And so, the skin color isn't it, but you've got to be able to find out what is really on their reason for coming to the United States. And if it is not a good reason, put them on the boat.
There you go.
Send them home.
May you and your family please have a wonderful Independence Day. Thank you, Chris. God bless you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Zed.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Thank you. Caller number 2, can you wait 60 seconds? Are you really going to get mad at me, or can you just hang fire for a second? Okay, stay there. I'll be right there. I promise. I promise. I promise. Don't forget Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, and they're located right behind the Minidoka Hospital across from the emergency room, and they will and they can help your hearing health. Please, Dr. Pickup and Dr. Mitchell, they absolutely can help you with your hearing health with an evaluation, and even the little children. Please stop over or give them a call for an appointment at 312-0957. Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. You get a hold of them today. Here's Gina with the weather real quick. Go ahead.
Here's your weather forecast as we are on the eve of Independence Day, and we're expecting sunny skies with a high of 75, slightly breezy winds out of the west, right around 15 miles an hour. We are expecting gusts as high as 25 tonight, mostly clear with a low of 43. Tomorrow for Independence Day, sunny and beautiful, expecting a high of 88. Mostly clear skies for Wednesday evening with a low of 55. It is going to be windy for Wednesday night as well. Thursday, sunny skies with a high of 94. Then by Friday, sunny and hot, close to triple digits. That's your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
Thank you, Gina. Appreciate it. And the weather, of course, brought to you this hour by Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. And the number to call for a hearing screening. They help me. They can help you. 312-0957. Wheels, did we lose our caller?
No.
Oh, okay. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning again, Mr. Bell.
Yes, ma'am.
And I have two comments. I totally agree with everything you and Chris just said about the infiltration of all these terrorists and these horrible people. We need to do something to get rid of them and keep them out. The second is the transgender. I do believe that everybody has the right to choose the way they live. That being said, God doesn't make mistakes.
That's right. Well, they may have a right to choose the way they may have a right to choose the way they live, but don't infiltrate and cross over and demand that we accept that lifestyle so that it infringes on others and takes away from other people.
No, that's just what I was going to say. It does not give them the right to infringe their beliefs or their choices on us.
I don't care if they want to wear. I don't care if they want to wear a Godzilla costume, 24/7, 365, and they say, "Well, I'm related to Godzilla and King Kong." I don't care if they want to do that. But when they start doing things that infringe on the rights and the abilities of others because of their abnormality in thinking, then I'm putting my foot down.
You betcha. I'm right there with you. As far as competing against the other gender for their own purposes, and that's it. Maybe they can't win as a man, or they can't compete with the men, so they have to try to beat the women out. I don't know, but that's going way too far. And like I said before, God does not make mistakes. You were born a man or a woman for a reason.
That's right, and that's why I salute the state of Texas saying, hey, you're going to compete in your birth gender or you stay home.
Should be that way all over.
Donna, thank you. God bless.
You bet.
Have a good one. Thank you. Bye-bye. Caller number 2, you're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Good morning again. On the first day of July, they made a new law about the freeway, about traveling in the left lane and staying there. What is your opinion on that?
I'm not going to comment on that, Keith, because they made a law saying you have to stay in the left lane. I don't think you said that right, did you?
They don't want you traveling in the left lane.
Okay.
In other words, just getting in the left lane and staying there. It's for passing only.
Yeah.
Is the way I understand it, which makes sense.
Well, you're changing the subject on me a little bit, and I'm not really a big fan of that when I had something else I was talking about. But I will say this. I think that a lot of times people are going too slow in the passing lane on the freeway, and they're causing traffic congestion, and they're also causing a very strong possibility of a multi-car accident. Get out of the way, get in the right lane. You want to pass somebody, fine, but get back in the right lane.
Well, what is the problem we're having between Burley and Twin Falls with all of these accidents?
I don't want to get into that right now, Keith. I don't have time to switch subjects. We'll talk about that more Monday, and a lot of it is just absolute careless driving or inattentive driving, but I had these other subjects that I was talking about, and I want to stay with that. All right, sir. Thank you.
I got drifted off.
All right, thank you.
Bye.
Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I think, in fairness to what he was saying a moment ago, Keith, with the driving, please drive carefully out there this weekend. I don't care if you're just going 5 miles to watch a parade or go to the family for ice cream and whatever, fireworks, whatever, later on today. I don't care. But be careful. There's been way too many accidents in the last couple of weeks and last couple of months, especially on the freeway. And that also seems to become a burden when they leave the freeway and get on a 2-lane road. And inattentiveness and maybe a little bit of a temper because you're late. Drive careful out there, please, especially over the Independence Day weekend. All right? Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I wanted to get into a little bit about Maxine Waters. She has really become unhinged. I am absolutely convinced that she is flapping in the wind. She is very despicable and evil. And she made a statement that is so out in left field, up where the popcorn vendor won't even go, about you shoot me, but you better shoot straight or I'll become as mean as a wounded animal. See, right there, the instigation of the shooting and the violence. What is the matter with this woman? What kind of garbage, and it is, what kind of garbage is it with Maxine Waters and many on the left? Nobody said anything about shooting anyone. How dare her? I honestly think that we should start a collection up and send her to a psychiatrist. Maxine Waters is not right. Maxine Waters is not serving her people in California, and for that matter, the nation, with any kind of common sense or any kind of decency or civility, and she's acting in a racist manner. She needs to be replaced. She needs to, at the very least, be censured and possibly have duct tape put over her mouth. But Maxine Waters is unhinged and not right, not normal. And I dare anybody in the audience to call and dispute that. She is a congresswoman that shouldn't be. Don't forget your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. And when I say serving, I'm really telling the truth, because, man alive, if you're getting ready for a road trip and you're a little questioning about your tires, you better stop in and let the people that know all about tires take a look at them. Absolutely. Tires for your car, your pickup, your SUV, horse trailer, boat trailer, camp trailer, all of this and more, they have the best. And they really know what best befits your driving and the type of driving you do. So please stop in and see Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland and Burley. The best they are. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Caller, I got exactly 1 minute. Go ahead.
You bet. Hey, I'm wondering how come the floor of the Senate and the Congress and that there, you can say what you want and not be held accountable for it, even though it's a lie or fabrication. But we can't out here, we say bad things and falsehoods out here. It comes back and bites us,
Absolutely. And you would think in the halls of Congress there would be more of an attempt to run yourself in a first-class manner. It doesn't happen with people like Maxine Waters.
Well, you got to have class before you can be a first class.
Oh, I amen to that.
I put her in the same boat as Sharpton and all those other so-called reverends that drum up hate.
I can't dispute that, because I absolutely, for years I thought Al Sharpton was as low as you could go, along with John Conyers and some of the others. But now Maxine Waters takes the trophy. She is completely unhinged, and I do not think capable of serving the public. I got to run, Doug. I'm way over. Yes. God bless you, man. Have a wonderful, wonderful Independence Day.
Yeah, everybody have a good Independence Day and be thankful for what we have.
Amen. Thank you. Right now, we're going to get ready for the news from CBS, and I'll be back with a gentleman that's going to talk about the swamp back in Washington, D.C. at 9:06. Zeb at the Ranch, don't go away. Oh, my. Here we go. Hour number 2. And, Wheels, I understand that we're having trouble getting hold of our guest. Is that correct?
We are. I just tried calling him the second time now.
All right, well, keep trying. Keep trying. Okay, thank you. And as we wait to try to get him on the air, we want to say that we are brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you with a great big, if you're getting ready for a road trip, the best of tires for your vehicles. Also, I want to remind you about some of our great advertisers like Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Wheels, I know you're trying to do 1,000 things at once, but how about a good word for Western Waste Services?
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this great land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal.
Western Waste Services, don't forget, if you need a dumpster, they've got dumpsters in various sizes, and you might be wanting to clean out the basement, the garage, or in my case, my office, and call. They'll deliver one right to your property. You fill it up, and then they'll come get it. Absolutely outstanding service with our friends at Western Waste Services, and they wish you and yours a great Independence Day weekend. Don't forget, always at your disposal, Western Waste Services, 734-6969. And while we have just a moment also, I'd like to remind you about our dear friends over at Hanson Mortuary. They've got something really special tomorrow over there at Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert. They're going to have a big, I mean really big breakfast. And they invite you to the breakfast tomorrow morning at about 8 o'clock prior to the parade over on the square in Rupert. And oh, the food is going to be fantastic. Please stop in before before the parade over at Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert, with Joel Heward, his family, and his staff. And, of course, Joel Heward also serving you at Morrison Payne Funeral Home, East Main in Burley. Let's see, what else have we got cooking here real quick? Oh, I got to tell you, the Oakley Pioneer Days. Wow. They're going to have, again, the Bump and Rub car race. Now, when I say this, it is becoming famous all over the country. It's the Oakley Pioneer Days Bump and Rub 4-cylinder car race. It's going to be on Friday the 13th and Saturday the 14th at 6 p.m., racing at 7. And it's going to be at the Oakley Rodeo Grounds. Woo, baby, this is wild. This is woolly, and it's a lot of fun. Don't miss it as a kickoff to the Oakley Pioneer Days, the Bump and Rub 4-cylinder car race. For more information, get a hold of Jeff Yeck at 670-1055. Wheels, do we have a caller waiting? I thought I heard the phone ringing.
Oh, no, but we do have your guest on and ready for you.
Deanne, he did call. He's in there. Thank you very much for your help. Wheels and Deanne, thank you very much. I'm going to attempt to say his name correctly, and if I make a mistake, I hope he'll correct me, but here we go. Here we go. We say good morning to Adam Andrzejewski. How are you, Adam?
Zeb, that's perfect. I'm doing well. Thank you very much for your interest in our work.
You know something? When you said I said it perfectly, I just swelled up like an old fat toad. That made me feel pretty good.
Well, in Illinois, on my mother's side, we've had a family farm since 1844. And I used to think those people were tough. We farmed that ground from 1844 to 1913 without electricity. And then I realized when I went into the American West that my relatives, they were the wimps. They stopped in Illinois. The really tough people went west. So I'm really thrilled to be on your program.
Well, I'll tell you something. I'm really excited to find out more about your book called Operation Drain the Swamp. I've said for a long time, even before I heard of you or your book, it's not a swamp. It's like a Atlantic Ocean of cesspool people and some of their ideas back in Washington. Give us kind of a quick synopsis of your book. What do you want people to know about it?
Well, the federal bureaucracy is expensive, and the swamp runs deep, and it has resistance, and we've quantified it all off in this book, Operation Drain the Swamp. The party out of power always says they're going to drain the swamp. So think about Reagan in '83. He said when you're up to your armpits in alligators, it's tough to remember that you came here to drain the swamp. And even Nancy Pelosi in 2006 said, it's time to drain the swamp. But the swamp survived because of the bureaucracy. And we've actually delineated just how expensive it is to the American taxpayer. It's $1.1 million a minute to pay for 2 million federal bureaucrats on their salaries and bonuses. It's $500 million per day. We, in 78 large federal agencies, there's a new minimum wage, Zeb. The minimum wage is an average pay in these 78 large agencies of over six figures, over $100,000 a year.
Oh, my. Well, Adam, let me ask you this. How did it get to be this way? Where were the stopgaps? Where was the overseeing? Where were the people that started crying wolf? How come it got to this mess?
Well, I think it's grown incrementally over decades and, over certainly the last 100 years. So, what we found is now federal bureaucrats, it's not only about these high salaries. They get bonuses. Last year, Zeb, there was 1 million performance bonuses paid out. And people ask, how can 1 million federal bureaucrats get a performance bonus? And then we found an audit from the Government Accountability Office from 2015. And incredibly, this blows people away. 99.6% of all federal civil service workers are rated highly successful. And that is impossible.
Well, the money is just, it boggles my mind, and I've got an information sheet here, and you explain quite a bit about what's in your book. But how? I mean, we, the people, the first three words of our Constitution, are being ignored, and we're allowing this to happen. Why isn't somebody going in with a great big pitchfork and cleaning out the stall?
So there's one area where we've got the president's attention. I think he's totally with us. I was called to privately brief in the office of president about a month ago in the Eisenhower Executive Building, the Office of Management and Budget, as they prepare the president's 2019 budget to Congress. And we identified that if you hit your 3-year anniversary as a federal bureaucrat, you stand in line to receive 8.5 weeks of paid time off.
Oh, my.
43 days of paid time off, 10 holidays, 13 sick days, and 20 vacation days. And, Zeb, this isn't France. That little line item cost the American taxpayer last year $23 billion.
Well, Adam, what would have happened? Let me ask you this question, and you're so knowledgeable about this. But when the funding was up and the lights might have been turned off in the government, I was one of the very few talk show hosts that said, good. Let government suffer for a while. Let them figure out how they're going to finance their own jobs and everything, because I'm sick and tired of always kowtowing to them. How wrong was I in letting them stay in the dark?
Well, you were absolutely right. In the book, we detail how this pork barrel spending is bipartisan. In the last year of the Obama administration, there was $600 billion worth of federal grants distributed to entities across the whole country. So we found there's a grant for everybody. If you are a senior and want to learn Tai Chi in Boston, Massachusetts, a $700,000 grant funded by the American taxpayer went to a senior center to teach the elderly how to do Tai Chi.
Oh, boy.
If you're a child in China and want to learn how to cross your busy street, the American taxpayer put $200,000 into developing a virtual reality platform to teach Chinese kids how to cross their busy streets.
Oh, my.
Zeb, I know you're not, but if you were a prostitute in California, the American taxpayer put $1.5 million into a grant for sex ed for California prostitutes who could probably teach the class.
Who in the world, oh my goodness, you got me so mad right now, I'm about ready to poke a hole through the door here on the studio. Who in the world introduced the possibility of funding this idiocy? I mean, whether it's a prostitute bill in California or whether it's teaching Chinese kids how to run across the street, who's asking for this funding, and how did it ever get through?
Well, we think it's time to name names and hold the members of Congress accountable for the federal activity in their district. We took a look at the top 50 congressional districts receiving the most federal grant money, and here's what we found. It's split nearly evenly between Democrats and Republicans. There's 27 Democrats and 23 Republicans. In the top 10 districts, it's even Steven. It's 5 Democrats and 5 Republicans. So this pork barrel spending is bipartisan.
Yeah, but bipartisan is one thing, but we're right now in round figures, and it might be a lot more than what we're told. We're $20 trillion in debt. We are owing our soul to the company store. And then you tell me that this is all still going on within our government? This is insanity personified.
So, Zeb, when you fly your private plane out to Martha's Vineyard off the coast of Massachusetts to hobnob with the Hollywood elite, when you fly your plane into that shishy little airport, the American taxpayer last year put $9.2 million into the private airport on Martha's Vineyard.
Oh, my goodness. Okay, but where are the wolves in the audience that are crying wolf? I mean, when are we going to stand up and say to my senators and congressmen in Idaho, yours in your state, etc., hey, dude, that's enough. We want a complete recount of what's going on with all the money being spent, and we want it on our desk next Monday morning, or when it comes election time, adios amigo. Why isn't this being done?
So I think it is. I think that is part of the Trump phenomenon. That regular people across the entire country, they understand the system's game. Trump ran on it. From the other side, Bernie Sanders ran on it as well. And so now what you have is an entrenched political class. Our honorary chairman, former U.S. Senator Dr. Tom Coburn, he identified the force of that entrenchment, and it's careerism. These people are members of Congress, are United States senators. They don't want to cut spending because they think if they do that, they won't get reelected. We, the people, we need to become the force that tell them that they're not going to be reelected unless they cut spending, cut the waste, fraud, corruption, and taxpayer abuse.
Amen. Adam, we've got a caller with a question for you. Stand by. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Well, I'll give you a little example of a deep state environmental situation. Up here in the mountains by Pine, Idaho, there is a bridge, a vital bridge. It's used for summer homes and businesses and construction, concrete trucks, logging trucks. And the Elmore County, which is not a rich county, has been forced to introduce 3 different architectural submittals to these environmentalists that are deciding whether or not they can build a bridge over a river in their county. And they have submitted these 3 proposals, and they have turned every one of them down. And then the one they accepted was a clear span over this gigantic. I don't know how wide it is, but it's wide. And to clear span a bridge over this river is going to cost so much, and they've already spent all this money with these architectural drawings, and now they're going to clear span this bridge over this river, and so you can have logging trucks and concrete trucks full
Okay.
of concrete.
All right.
And it's going to cost an unbelievable fortune to a county that is not ready. And these people couldn't care less about the people that live up there in those mountains. I'll hang up.
Respond to that caller with that situation.
Right. I want to weigh in on the United States Environmental Protection Agency, because this is one of the examples in the book that we wrote, this Operation Drain the Swamp, that everyone in your listening audience can purchase at Amazon. So at the EPA, we did an oversight report, and we found that in a 6-year period, the EPA bureaucrats, they just think they're so elite. They spent $92 million on high-end luxury furniture. We identified $800 pencil holders, $7,000 executive desks. When this went to, back in the day, to the Bill O'Reilly show at Fox News, the EPA spokesman answered, and here's what they said. And this shows you the hubris, and it shows you what the people are up against. The EPA said we moved offices. The new offices cost less on the monthly lease, but the old furniture wouldn't fit into the new offices, so we had to buy this luxury furniture. And on a net basis, you dumb taxpayer, you came out ahead.
Okay, but Adam, you sound like you're much more first class than I am, and have been around to a couple of county fairs and a hog calling contest. What in the heck does a $800 pencil holder look like?
It's beautiful mahogany wood, I'm sure, inlaid with probably, ivory.
Well, what about our veterans? What about the VA? I mean, talk to me a little bit about that. I know you did some research on the complete waste and idiocy that's going on there. Tell my listeners a little quick story about that.
So starting in 2014, folks will remember the scandal at the VA. It started in Phoenix when at the very nexus of the scandal, a sick veteran couldn't get in to see a doctor because there weren't enough doctors. And we have given oversight to the VA employment payroll file, and what we found was when Congress threw tens of billions of dollars at the VA, they added 50,000 new folks to payroll. They created 50,000 new positions, but less than 5,100 of those positions were actually doctors. So today you got 500,000 veterans. They're sick. They want to get in to see a doctor, and they have to wait more than 30 days to see a doc because there's not enough doctors. They didn't hire enough.
This is absolutely just upsetting my whole day. But now, are there any bright lights at the end of the tunnel, or is it another train coming at us head on?
Well, the bright light is when we, the people, see the hard facts and get engaged, we can stop bad behavior. And I want to give you an example from the VA. So in the summer of 2016, we audited the VA checkbook, and we found that in a 10-year period, when up to 1,000 sick veterans died while waiting to see a doctor. The VA spent $20 million on a high-end luxury art portfolio. It was $27,000 for 21-foot Christmas trees. It was sculptures priced like 5-bedroom homes at a VA facility in Palo Alto, California. They serve blind veterans. They bought 2 fancy sculptures for $700,000. And we pushed our findings to Good Morning America and ABC World News Tonight. And then Chuck Grassley, he's the Senate Judiciary Chairman, wrote the oversight letter to then VA Secretary Robert McDonald, and within 34 days, McDonald apologized for the purchases and instituted new rules to stop the practice on a go-forward basis. Now, this is what needs to be done. We, the people, need to review the spending and hold those political folks accountable for tax and spend decisions.
How do you do that, though? And I've only got a couple of minutes left, Adam, but how do you do what you just said? Hold them accountable, point your finger in their face, shorten up the short end of the necktie until they turn into a thermometer. How do we do that?
So we've given you the tools. Just come to openthebooks.com. There's a big graphic in the middle of our homepage. It's called Where's the Pork? Click on it. It takes you to an interactive map. All those federal grants in the last year of the Obama administration, we map them to your zip code across the country. So you can click a pin, which is a zip code, and you can see exactly where $600 billion went, who got what from what agency, and then call your member of Congress and say, what are you doing to stop this stuff?
Absolutely. Okay, I'm down to the last 2 minutes. Caller, I'm going to give you exactly 30 seconds. That's all I've got. Go ahead quickly with your question.
What checks are in place for, like, these congressmen and stuff? They take all these multi-million dollars. What checks are in place that you know that they don't plumb some of this off and stick millions in their pockets? I'll just listen off there.
Good question. Adam, answer that, please.
Well, there's not a lot of checks in place, and one of the reports that we're planning on doing between now and the end of the year, and hopefully on the before the November election, is how these federal grants flow into these congressional districts, and magically they turn into campaign cash, from the key employees at the grant recipients to the congressman owning stock or equity in the grant receiving recipients, or even on the payroll of the receiving entities, or their wife on the payroll. This is going on all over the place. We already have 50 congressmen participating in this. It's insider trading. We're going to expose it.
All I can say is, Adam, you are one of the best guests I've had on in a long time. When I want my blood pressure to go sky high and I feel like punching a wall, I'm going to call you and have you on the program. Please tell my audience where they can get the book, Operation Drain the Swamp.
Just go to Amazon, Operation Drain the Swamp, and we've priced it at less than $7. It's $6.99. So you can buy, copies for your entire family.
Well, I'll tell you what, I appreciate it. I'm going to try it again and see if I can't do it 2 times in the same segment right. Adam Andrzejewski, thank you for being on the program. God bless, and please come back.
God bless you, Zeb. Thanks for having me on. I look forward to coming back, keeping your audience updated.
All right, sir. Appreciate that. You imagine, and he did a wonderful job of explaining exactly where all the money's going and how it's being abused. Adam Andrzejewski, and he's the CEO and founder of OpenBooks.com. Wow, I'm going to have him back on my program. Oh, my. Wheels, can we please have a good word for the Silver State Stampede?
PRCA Rodeo Action thunders into Elko, July 13th, 14th, and 15th at the Elko County Fairgrounds. 3 big days for the 2018 Silver State Stampede. Nevada's oldest rodeo is family entertainment at its finest. This PRCA rodeo brings you the thrill of pro riders going head-to-head in one of the toughest sports in the world. Action kicks off Friday, July 13th with mutton busting, a delicious tri-tip dinner, the Calcutta, Old West bronc riding, PRCA rodeo action, the world-famous Ring of Fear, and dancing to the Jeff Palmer Band. Gates open on Friday and Saturday at 4 with mutton busting starting at 6 and rodeo action starting at 7. And on Sunday, gates open at noon with mutton busting at 1 and the rodeo action starting at 2. Tickets on sale now at the Boot Barn and the Elko Chamber office. Rodeo action at its finest. with the 2018 Silver State Stampede, July 13th, 14th, and 15th at the Elko County Fairgrounds. For more information, contact silverstatestampede.com.
Thank you very much, and don't forget to, when it comes to taking care of your animals, I know the place, it's a mixed animal practice, meaning big or small, they take care of them all and keep them all healthy, and that's Ark Animal Hospital at 750 21st Street near Connection Credit Union in Heyburn. Dr. Bill, Dr. Jordan, the whole staff, they really, really care. And by the way, with all the fireworks that's going to be going off the next couple of days, make sure that you've got ID tags on your pets. They're going to run and scoot someplace to hide, and make sure you get them back, okay? Ark Animal Hospital, absolutely the best, where they have warm hearts for cold noses. Call them 678-1177. Thank you very much. By the way, too, on Thursdays, don't forget we've got the Old Fishing Hole with the great fishing expert from Sportsman's Warehouse. Josh is going to be on the phone at 10:30 on Thursdays, brought to you by Sportsman's Warehouse at 1940 Bridgeview Boulevard in Twin Falls. Reese and the gang, and they all tell you to have a great Independence Day weekend. So thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, right now, before I go over to the lovely Miss Vicki, I want to remind you about furniture and beautification of your home. And it's the red, white, and blue sale for the entire month of July at Lee's Furniture, Floors and More, 459 Overland in Burley. Oh, on sale, floor coverings in stock, carpeting in stock, luxury vinyl flooring, bedroom groups in stock. Oh, baby, I'm telling you what, it's the red, white, and blue sale. All the month of July with our friends at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. Jeff and the crew serving you at 459 Overland in Burley. Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. Hey, by the way, if you don't have a ATV, a four-wheeler, you better get into Let's Ride. This would be a perfect weekend. A lot of you have got the rest of the week off starting after tomorrow, and head up in the hills and enjoy the beauty of southern Idaho. Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. Oh, my goodness sakes, all the ATVs, 0% financing on ATVs right now. All the watercraft, going to be warm, better get on the water. And they've got all the accessories and the best doggone service department around. You stop over and check it out at Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. And it's true, this is where the fun is sold. Wonderful people. Let's go to the phone line right now. Here she is, standing there, just stood up from her throne, and all of her subjects over at Vicky's Country Garden, they bow down with a shovel in one hand and a rake in the other. Vicky at Vicky's Country Garden. Good morning.
Good morning, Zeb. You're full of it this morning.
I've been told that I'm full of it most any morning.
Pretty much.
What's happening the day before Independence Day over at Vicky's Country Garden?
The wind.
Oh, okay.
Just thought I'd remind everybody the wind's blowing.
You know, some things just never change. Some things just never change. It seems like every Tuesday when we have you on the radio, I can look out my window and the trees are just tipping over with the wind.
Maybe it's because we're both a little windy.
Let's not go there. Hey, but seriously, with the wind, and then we're going to be seeing much warmer temperatures the next couple of days, things are going to really be dried out, aren't they, for our gardens?
Yes, they are. This wind, even though it's a cool wind does dry things out. And and then we're going to get hit with some major heat tomorrow. I mean, we're talking 20 degrees difference between today and tomorrow. And long-term forecast is in the mid-90s on up. For, like I say, for the next 10 days or more. So it looks to me like summer's a little late coming, but I think it's finally going to get here and it's going to hit us with a vengeance. So, that's going to be the trick right now is watering your plants up, monitoring them, taking care of them, get them used to this hot weather without getting dried out, and, just kind of keeping an eye on things.
You know, speaking of watering, I had a note, and I think you'll find this kind of interesting. A lady in Burley sent me a letter, and I'm condensing it because it was like 5 or 6 paragraphs long, and she said, I'm mad at my neighbor. his revolving water source comes over into my yard and keeps my garden soaked all the time. I'm about ready to go over and strangle him with the hose. What else can I do?
That is a real problem, especially if it's like a pivot or something to that effect that's coming around. They really, really need, they can reset those, the end guns and that, if that's what it is. They can shut them down, but they have to, they have to be notified of it. She needs to just talk to him. Most of the guys are pretty good about trying to bring that under control. But I guess the main thing you kind of have to pay attention to is when you're setting up your garden and got your garden space, if you can, put it in an area where if you've got something like that going on, it's on a yearly basis. Really be careful and kind of put your garden kind of away from it, because there's really nothing that can stop that water.
Okay.
That is a major problem, that's for sure.
Okay, but now if it could really destroy the garden if it's that wet and cause mold and fungus and everything else, couldn't it?
Yes, it can. As a rule, it doesn't. It waters. The main thing is don't water yourself. If that's coming around, try to schedule it to where that water is going to be coming around and hitting on a time frame to where it may keep your garden going. But if you water and then that comes around and waters, then you've got double and you're in trouble. So kind of watch that pattern. And if it's coming around, it should be able to saturate your garden and water your garden just like it's doing the field. And it should cover, you may not have to, just don't water, you may just let them water. Sometimes you can get benefit out of it because sometimes they're running nitrogen in the lines, which is going to be a fertilizer for your garden. It can be a benefit. Just don't do your own watering until you see what the time frame is on that pivot. If it's a pivot, it's going to come around probably every 24 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And so if that's the case, or if it's a wheel line, they may be on, watch them and see, is it a 12-hour set or a 24-hour set?
Okay.
And if it's a wheel line, they can they can stop a sprinkler from coming. They can set it where it hits the field and not the other side. Things like that can be done. But if they watch it a little bit, it might work out to where it just waters the garden, but that she isn't going to have to water her garden at all.
Okay. Now, I had another little note from a very, very nice lady over in, Declo area, she said. And she said, my beans, my corn, and my radishes, they're not coming up. Did I get a whole bunch of bad seed, or what's going on here?
Well, I guess it could be bad seed. A lot of the packaged seeds are not the freshest seeds, out there. Sometimes they don't have as good a germination. But it also can be, we've got birds and stuff like that that pull the seed out of the ground. Magpies and starlings and robins can go in and take that seed out of the ground before, as it germinates or before it germinates.
But, Vicki, how do you know?
Basically, my suggestion is go out there and dig down where you've got your seed planted, and if there's no seed there, then something has taken the seed.
Okay. How do you know, though, and I don't mean to sound really uneducated on this because I've learned a lot from you over the last couple of years, but how do people know when they go and buy seed in those little packets that seed really is good seed?
There's only one way to do it, and that's to do a slight germination test on their own. Put 4 or 5 little seeds in a wet paper towel, a fairly wet paper towel, put it in a Ziploc bag, and put it in a sunny window, or keep it really warm. Put it over a heat vent, or just like I say, a good sunny window. Warm it up really good, and test it and check it every few days, and get a germination percentage on it.
Okay.
If you've got 5 plants, 5 seeds in there, and and 4 of them, 4 of them pop up, then you've got a pretty good percentage rate. If only 1 comes up, you're in trouble. So.
Okay. And then I had another note from a lady that said, my sweet corn, I've never planted a garden before. This is my first year. My husband and I planted about 6 rows of corn. And how do we know when it's ready to eat? What kind of test do I have to do on the ears?
Well, usually the silk in the corn will start to kind of dry a little bit, but it doesn't hurt to just, I mean, once you see, you can tell by feeling the ears to see if they've filled out good. But the silk in the corn has a tendency to change color or start to get a little bit dry, or you can just lightly pull it down just a little bit and check the kernels.
Okay. All right. Now, I think it's time for, oh, wait a minute, we got to do this right with all the fanfare. Da-da-da-da-da-da, the Vicky's gardening tip of the week.
Okay, my gardening tip for the week is buy you some sunscreen, because we're going to need it.
I think I know what's coming.
But as far as watering and things of that nature, water your plants up, your gardens and that up really good of an evening, and let them have a chance to absorb and get ready for the heat in the day. Do not go out in the hot sun and try sprinkling and watering your plants. You can cause leaf burn and leaf scorch and damage your plants.
I just had a feeling you were going to say get a lawn chair and perhaps an adult beverage, go find some shade, and that's the gardening tip of the week.
That is what I was going that direction because of tomorrow. That's my suggestion for tomorrow. But for after tomorrow, then get back into watering your plants.
Okay.
Water tomorrow night.
What about anything special over at Vicky's Country Garden for this weekend? A lot of people are going to have time off from work because of Independence Day weekend. What have you got over there?
Well, we're gonna be starting to rotate through and do some in-store specials. So every day we'll have something else going on. We have still got some annuals and that type of thing that are on sale. We're going to be running some specials throughout the trees and things of that nature. We'll do different sections of trees and stuff. Fruit trees will be on special, some different things like that. So just come in and see us and see what we've got going, and you never know, you might even talk us into a deal. You just never know.
Okay. Now, did you tell me or did you not that you're going to be in the parade tomorrow?
We are.
Oh, my. What's your float?
Our float is going to have it. It's going to be America Let's Celebrate, which is the theme, and we've got big firecrackers and decorations and that type of thing. I mean, you just never know what we're going to put in the parade.
I love it. I'll tell you what, you are so community-oriented. We're talking to the lovely Miss Vicky at Vicky's Country Garden at 185 South, 600 West of Paul. And, Vicky, now that we're looking at Independence Day and the weekend, what are the hours that you're going to be open?
Okay, we are going to be... we'll be open on Monday through Friday. I think we'll be backing our hours up a little bit in the evening. It's going to be like 9 to 5:30, 5 to 5:30, something to that effect. Saturdays, we're going to be from 9 to 4, and now we are closed on Sundays.
Okay. And you will not be open tomorrow on Independence Day, right?
No. If they want to talk to me, they're going to have to come to Rupert and see me in the parade and catch me afterwards, and then we can talk.
Well, I want to tell you, every time you're on the air, I really learn a lot, and I really appreciate all your open and candid remarks, so thank you very much. Any final thoughts for Independence Day tomorrow? I know that you're a loyal red, white, and blue American.
Yes, I am, and I think we all need to be very grateful for what we have in our country and of all the things that we have, and we all need to have a very safe and happy holiday and be courteous to others.
Amen. Vicky, I love you dearly. Thank you so much. Vicky's Country Garden, have a great day, and do not get close to the edge of the float, okay?
I'm going to say, because, that's what everybody says. Don't fall off the float. And I said, I'm going to do my best not to.
Okay. God bless you, Vicky.
Rock and roll is as good as I used to.
Hey, have a great one, and God bless you. Thank you so much.
All right. Hey, thanks, Zip.
All right. Lovely lady right there, Vicky at Vicky's Country Garden. I just really enjoy having her on the program. It's time for the weather, and the weather brought to you by Phillips Oaks, Goodwin, Crane and Company, with offices in Burley and Rupert. And like I've been telling you every week, every day for the last couple of weeks, Leiden sent us some information, and there's been a lot of big changes to the tax law regarding tax rates that have changed and new deductions, and some of the old deductions have been changed or removed from the law. You'd better get a hold of them. at Phillips Oaks Goodwin Crane and Company and find out how it affects you, your family, and your business, okay? Offices in Burley and Rupert, Phillips Oaks Goodwin Crane and Company. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Here's your weather forecast as we are on the eve of Independence Day, and we're expecting sunny skies with a high of 75, slightly breezy winds out of the west, right around 15 miles an hour. We are expecting gusts as high as 25 tonight, mostly clear with a low of 43. Tomorrow for Independence Day, sunny and beautiful, expecting a high of 88. Mostly clear skies for Wednesday evening with a low of 55. It is going to be windy for Wednesday night as well. Thursday, sunny skies with a high of 94. Then by Friday, sunny and hot, close to triple digits. That's your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
Thank you, Gina, and brought to everybody by Phillips Oaks Goodwin Crane and Company. As I said, 1710 Overland and Burley, 878-7000, and 655th Street in Rupert, 436-5607. They can and they will help you, your business, and your family. Be sure and check out the tax changes. You get a hold of Phillips Oaks Goodwin Crane and Company today. Okay, let's see, what else have we got cooking here? Oh, I want to remind you about some really, really good friends of ours over in Rupert that handle all your life insurance, your health insurance, your retirement planning, your employee benefits. Yep. I'm talking about Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Wonderful, wonderful people that are very dedicated and responsive to your needs, and very accessible, too. All you need to do is take the initiative to make an appointment. Call them at 436-4424. That number again, 436-4424. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert, wishing you a very safe and fun Independence Day. Absolutely. Oh, by the way, a quick news note that I believe 5 people. Now, there might be some changes, but we've heard that 5 people are on the short list for the appointment to the Supreme Court, one of them, and President Trump will name that person next week. It should be really, really interesting as to who and what attributes they're going to have to get on the Supreme Court. Right now, and I got to tell you that I am so high on these people. I'm going to give you a little personal note right now. I've had a chance to do some business dealings with Stotz Equipment Company, your John Deere dealer in Burley. Wow, these people are personable. These people are service-oriented, and they are an asset to the community. And right now, we're going to be listening to Stotz Equipment Company Ag Minutes, if you would please, Wheels. Hello, Wheels.
I apologize, sir. For some reason, it's not firing off, and I loaded it yesterday, but I'm going to try to figure out what they...
All right, real quick, I'll tell you what, you go ahead and figure it out. Let me know as soon as you can. Make sure that you get it on. And I want to remind you that coming up at the top of the hour, we'll have CBS News, and that will be followed by, of course, our dear friend that's going to be coming by the studio shortly, and that is Dr. History. We always look forward to having Dr. History on our program every Tuesday right here in the studio, and he'll be coming up at 10:06 with another one of his old West sagas about what took place not only here in the state of Idaho but around the Intermountain West, so it should be really good. Wheels, do we have that ready to go? Still trying to get that tape machine evidently to fire. And while we have just a moment, I will also tell you about some of the activities that are going on over at the Rupert 4th of July celebration. And the theme, America, Let's Celebrate, with the Grand Marshals for the parade tomorrow, Steve and Diane Scow. And don't forget, tonight is the night at 6 p.m. at the Minidoka County Fairgrounds for the Firecracker 500 lawnmower races. Ooh, yeah. Look out, NASCAR. Move over. And tomorrow, don't forget, at 7 a.m., they're going to have the Firecracker 5K, 10K, and 40K bike race. And at 11 o'clock, the really, really big parade. That's going to be around the square and through the town of Rupert. Lots of fun with the theme, America, Let's Celebrate. Don't forget, the Rupert 4th of July celebration. Wheels, do we have that ready to go? And I sit here and hear nothing. Okay, evidently they're trying to get everything repaired and on the air. And while we've got a lot of moments here all of a sudden, I don't know what the problem is, but we're going to get it figured out and hear from our friends at Stoats Equipment Company momentarily. And until then, just give us a call. I want to quickly also say that on Thursday, don't forget the Old Fishing Hole with Josh. Now, Josh is the head man in the fishing department at Sportsman's Warehouse. And they absolutely have everything that you need for a good fishing trip or maybe a trip just down to the river, whatever it might be. I'll guarantee you he's going to be actually fishing while he calls in. And Sportsman's Warehouse at 1940 Bridgeview Boulevard in Twin Falls. Everything for your fishing, hunting, camping, food, guns and ammo, clothing. It's all there with excellent people at Sportsman's Warehouse. Wheels, do we have that ready to go, please? And I have no clue. Ladies and gentlemen, yes, do you have it ready?
I do, yes.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, once again, after a great big huge pause that caused a lot of concern, here are our friends at Stoats Equipment Company, your John Deere dealer with Ag Minutes.
Welcome to Stoats Equipment Ag Minutes, featuring innovative ideas and people that are dedicated to serving agriculture and you. Stoats Equipment, your John Deere authorized dealer, 119 Overland Avenue in Burley. They make your life easier. 5 words sum up Stoats Equipment's dedication to serving you. Quality, integrity, loyalty, caring, and community. Stoats Equipment is your John Deere equipment dealer, providing everything from tractors to combines, swathers to lawnmowers. At Stoats Equipment, they care about their customers, and like their slogan says, we make your life easier. From large ag farm equipment to small compact utility tractors, Stoats Equipment works diligently for local customers to get the best deals. Stoats Equipment, 119 Overland in Burley. Stop in and see them today. Right now we're on the air with our good friend Vic Carataccia of Stoats Equipment, your John Deere dealer at 119 Overland in Burley. Vic, there's so much going on with Stoats Equipment, and of course, the value of your business to the community is absolutely amazing.
Well, it's easy to be invested in the community that their thought process and their values is basically based around the community and giving back to where we live, and we have the same attitude and we want to be part of it. And I think that's part of the value of doing business with us, is that that we're not just here to collect money. We're here to help you. We're here to be part of it. If there's a flood, we're going to be out there helping you. And if there's a need in the community and there's an event that needs to be sponsored, then we're going to be there as well.
How do you pick and choose? A person can't be all things to all people and all events, but my goodness, every time I turn around, you're involved in something more.
Well, it is hard to pick and choose, as you say. Our main focus for our company is FFA. That's always been a focus of mine, being part of it all my life, and then also, just seeing the value of helping young men and women. They're going to be the future of our area, especially in a farming area. So we're heavily invested in that, and our store for sure is a great example. A lot of my guys have grown up in it, so we all have that thought process, and we work for the schools. We work with Minico and Burley and Oakley and Declo and everybody else, and we try to invest in things we think they're going to be now and also value later in life. And what's a better investment than investing in our youth and people that are doing the right things and going the right way?
Vic, what do you think the future looks like for these kids, our younger generation, high schoolers going into college, etc.? What's the attitude that you perceive about agriculture and their involvement?
Well, I think it's going to be somewhat of a challenge, but I think the more people that we have like this community, where the mindset is hard work, the values of family, the values of just doing the right thing, and if we can constantly mentor our youth and be part of that on their own, there's going to be a little bit of a disadvantage of it for them. But I think we're lucky in this area here because everybody's mindset is based around community and be involved in your farm and and your family and church and everything else that goes on. And so a lot of people don't have that. But I think if anywhere in the area in this nation, the farming communities are going to have the biggest advantage, because that's kind of our mindset, and it's our life, and that's what we want to be invested in that, and we really care about it. So as long as we have it, I think our kids have a good chance.
There's so many things coming up on the summer. Of course, we're right around the corner from the 4th of July festivities, and then, of course, we're not that far away from the fair season. What about your involvement as a company? Where are you going to be, and how can people look for you?
Best answer is everywhere. Last year we did every parade. We're starting out 4th of July with Rupert. We'll be in the parades for Declo and Oakley and Albion and all of our communities. We want to show everybody that we're part of their community, and when you buy a John Deere, you get Stoats equipment with it, and that's all the employees. And we're here for everything, not just their money. And I hate to say it that way, but there's a lot of value when you do business with Stoats equipment, because we really do care. And I know that's easily said, and I've told everybody when we came here that we have to prove it, and that's my goal, is that we're here for the long run. And we're here to help you. We're here to invest in you, and we're here to be part of the community, and we feel very lucky that we are.
Last question for this segment, but you talk about future goals. I'm goal-oriented. I always like to set something that I try to achieve every month, every year. What about Stoats equipment? You must have goals also.
Absolutely. Well, we have a blessed area of such a huge area of responsibility, as we call it in terminology of our business. And our customers, they're very diverse, and we have to be very, very diverse as well to help them. And our goal is to reach out to every customer in our area at least once. We're hiring people to get out there and see people. We have 2 CSRs rather than 1 customer service rep per store. We have 3 salesmen. We're hiring technicians. We're hiring parts people. We're making a precision ag department. So we're specializing and basically building a strong team to support the needs here in our community. I never make goals on money. It's based on customer satisfaction. So as we're starting to win prizes and winning the trust of people, and we're winning all of the people's satisfaction when it comes to customer service, that's when I'm going to be happy.
A great addition to the Magic Valley, and this man does a super job. Vic Carataccia, the store manager of Stoats Equipment at 119 Overland in Burley, your John Deere dealer, and they make your life easier. Thanks for listening to Stoats Equipment's Ag Minutes. Your John Deere equipment dealer at 119 Overland in Burley. At Stoats, they want to make your life easier.
I tell you, I'll say it again, absolutely wonderful people, the techs and all the people that work there. Vic, I mean, they're there to serve you, and they do make your life easier at Stoats Equipment, your John Deere dealer. Wonderful folks. Right now, I'm going to remind you that we're going to be listening to Dr. History in about 7 or 8 minutes, coming up at 10:06, and then at 10:30, we have one of my favorite people, one of my best friends, and that's Senator Kelly Anthon's going to be on the program talking about patriotism and, of course, Independence Day and all the 4th of July activities and everything. And don't miss that at 10:30 this morning. Right now, we're going to send it back over to our main studios. We'll be back in about 7 minutes. Oh, and away we go. The last hour on this day before Independence Day. Zeb at the Ranch, I'm Zeb Bell with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you. If you're getting ready for a road trip, stop in and see them today. And then don't forget, too, some of our great advertisers like Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. They're helping you get back to being you. Don't forget, I think Dr. History's putting a car in this. The Oakley Pioneer Days Bump and Rub 4-cylinder car race. I understand he used to be a NASCAR driver. And it's going to be Friday and Saturday, July 13th and 14th. Calcutta at 6, racing at 7. Oh my goodness sakes, don't miss it at the Oakley Rodeo Grounds. And for more information on the world famous, they talk about this over in Thailand, Thailand. Bump and rub 4-cylinder car race at the Oakley Pioneer Days, and contact Jeff Yeck for entries at 670-1055. Right now, without any further ado, here he is, his entourage waiting in the other room, his bodyguards waiting out in the car. Here's Dr. History. Good morning.
Good morning, Zeb. How you doing today?
I am peachy.
Great. Looking forward to tomorrow, going to the Rupert Parade and eat Mexican food, and it's always just a fun time.
There will be no energy shortage tomorrow.
You don't think so? Oh, it's always fun to go over there.
Now, you know what? These people really, they're not amateurs at it. They're professionals.
Yeah.
Quite a deal.
Fun parade.
Yep.
So today, we're going to talk about a horse called the Blue Roan Man Killer.
The Blue Roan Man
Now,
Killer.
for our listeners, a Blue Roan is basically kind of a gray, black, blue kind of colored horse, and various shades of lighter and darker. So a blue, when I say Blue Roan, just kind of picture almost a charcoal colored horse. Is that right? Would you agree with that? Sort of.
With the sunlight on it and everything, it does have a tendency to look kind of bluish.
Yeah. So that's what we're going to be talking about.
Okay.
Now, this is a story by a guy named Dale Vincent, and he goes by the nickname of Shorty. So I'm going to be telling this story by...
He was 6'7", right?
Yeah. And anyway, I'll be telling this story with his words. Okay? So here we go. He says, I was breaking out harness horses for the Jim Little Ranch on Lost River near Howe, Idaho. Now, for people that may not know, Howe, Idaho is up there by Chalice, Salmon, up that direction, kind of in the middle of Idaho by the Salmon River area. Anyway, he says, I got tangled up with the Blue Roan, an outlaw horse that had already killed 2 men and crippled a lot more.
Oh, my.
Now, he says, our outfit needed a lot of horsepower for the ranch and operation, heavy teams for hauling wood and supplies, lighter teams for commissary and chuck wagons, and teams for the extensive haying operations. Sometimes people don't realize that there's haying operations on ranches. You got to have hay.
Well, up there's a lot of good hay.
Yeah, right. Now, he says Big Jim, our boss, always traveled between his ranches with fast trotters pulling a buckboard. So he didn't ride, he went by buckboard. But anyway, he just told us to pick out and break out some more teams for his buckboard. And the boss said, I just bought 40 more horses from the Myrup Horse Ranch. They're all geldings. Break out the ones that will make good buckboard teams for me, make saddle stock out of the rest, and see you in about 2 weeks. And he was gone.
Really?
So he leaves Shorty and Joe to take care of this. Okay, so it was a hot day. The new bunch of horses was to come in. The 20-man crew was out in the hayfields putting up hay. So no one was around the headquarter building corrals except the 3 cooks and a big red-headed Irishman blacksmith, and Joe and me, he says. So around 2 o'clock in the afternoon, we saw a dust cloud up on the hills about a mile to the west of the ranch. It was the new horses coming like the wind, straight down the hill toward the ranch. He says, man, oh man, what a sight. Their manes were flying, their tails streaming out behind them. They were being pushed hard by 2 cowboys. Now, doesn't that just sound cool to see a herd of horses just on the run like that? I mean,
and that reminds me of that Tom Selleck movie where they were gathering all those horses coming into the ranch. It sounds just like that.
I mean, I'd just love to see that. But anyway, he says, we ran and opened wide the gate. The leaders entered on a dead run, and the herd thundered through. Right on their heels came the cowboys. We closed the big gate, and while the horses circled the wagon yard, the 2 riders swung off their lathered horses and walked over to Joe and me. Well, there's your 40 head, he said, with 1 extra throwed in free of charge.
Uh-oh.
Which one, I asked. What's the joke? He's the Blue Roan, and he's sure no joke. You'll know him when you see him. He's all scarred up and mean as a mountain lion. Well, what'd you bring him for? Joe asked. Well, the boss was glad to get rid of him. He said, if you don't want him, shoot him.
Oh, my. Okay.
So they just wanted to get rid of this horse.
Yep.
So the rider said they'd had nothing to eat since early morning, so Joe went in to talk to the cooks, and I showed them where the wash bench was. Then we all sat down at the oilcloth table to eat and visit. What'd your boss mean, I asked, when he said to shoot him? Well, I'll tell you, said one. That Blue Devil is a 10-year-old outlaw. He's already killed 2 men and mangled a few others. He kicks, bites, and strikes. He'll kick the spurs off your boots. He'll reach around and grab your leg in his teeth, pull you out of the saddle, and stomp you to death.
Well, he's just a nice little broke saddle horse.
Yeah. On top of that, he's a sunfisher.
Uh-huh.
Now, for our listeners, I don't know if you're familiar with that term, Zeb.
Yep.
Sunfisher is a horse that kind of twists his body like his head is coming back towards his rear end.
Yeah, in other words, he's not easy to ride.
Yeah. So he's a tough one.
Yeah.
And he goes on, he says, nobody has ridden him yet. Last man he throwed, he jumped right in his middle and pounded him into mincemeat before we could stop him. Well, sounds like he might be a little mean, said Joe. Come on, Shorty, he turned to me, and we walked out to look at the horses. Well, they all shied around us as we walked around through them.
So they were in the corral with the old Blue Roan.
Right,
Okay.
yeah, so here's 21 horses,
Yeah.
one of them which is the Blue Roan.
Okay.
He says it wasn't hard to spot the Blue Roan. Though he spotted us first and he backed his scarred rear end up against the corral, his narrowed eyes studied us and he braced for any move we might make towards him. There were old rope marks on his nose and one on his hairy ears. One of his hairy ears was lopped over as if somebody tried to tear it off. You could tell he was ready for battle if that was what he wanted. And you and I have been around horses, Zeb, that when they look at you a certain way, you know you better be watching.
I can tell you I'm not going to pull the cinch on anything like that.
No. Well, mean-looking critter, ain't he, Joe said. Yeah, I answered, sizing up the well-muscled 1,000 pounds of dynamite. Nobody ain't broke his spirit yet. You can see that. Well, he was a battle-scarred old warrior for sure, but he still had his dignity, and I didn't hanker to take it away from him. So Shorty and Joe settled back into our old work, he says, breaking out the harness horses, and we kind of forgot about the Blue Roan. Well, then two Myra boys, the other ranch, where they got these horses, had stayed overnight in the bunkhouse with the hay hands, and filled their ears.
Did you say hay hounds?
Hay hands. Anyway, it filled their ears full of stories about the man-killing outlaw that was now in the herd. Well, since Joe and I bunked in another cabin by ourselves, we didn't notice the Blue Roan, quote, fever, okay, for a day or so. Surely we heard the boys talking at the table and noticed them kind of looking us over more than usual. Then one morning at breakfast, a talkative hay hand by the name of Windy, who sat across the long table from Joe and me, came right out with it. Joe, you or Shorty ought to ride that Blue Outlaw.
Now, had anybody ever ridden the horse before?
No, he's not been ridden.
Oh, okay.
And why, Joe asked back. Well, argued Windy, the Myrup Ranch hasn't got a man that can ride him, and if one of us could, that would make this ranch the top outfit in the valley, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but they'd all have to take off work and go to a funeral.
That's right. Well, Shorty said, I was the only so-called twister, I guess, Bronc-buster on the ranch. I'd been a rider of the rough string for 3 or 4 years, so he'd had a lot of experience, and that's all I'd ever hired out for, to break out the green ones, either to saddle or harness. And he says, for sure, I was not a show rider, quote, but he says, our reputations depended upon our just being good, steady men who knew our business, and that's what we always did with our job.
Can you imagine, though, if they decided they were going to make a harness horse out of him? That wagon would have never showed up anywhere.
He might have been good on the chariots, chariot racing. But then he says, I also knew the immense pride men had in themselves and in the outfit they worked for. The loyalty they felt for their boss. Hay hands worked hard to put up more hay than the next ranch. There was pride in having the fastest horses and the best cook. All hands were extremely devoted to a good outfit. There was a lot of pride.
Sure.
And you've heard that. But there was only one competition. There was not only competition between ranches, but also competition between the men themselves. Each man always was striving to be the best hay pitcher, the best loader or stacker, the best teamster, and it just happened that I was the best rider on the ranch. So you can see what's coming. So I knew very well if the Blue Roan was to be ridden, I had to be the one to ride him. Suddenly I realized I was scared of that Blue Roan. I hadn't hired out to ride any outlaw that had already killed 2 men. My pride did not go deep enough to be thrown by a man killer and stomped into jelly. Well, the chips were down. The men thought I was showing yellow, and I knew right then that I had to go ride that outlaw sooner or later or get off the ranch. The next few days, my mind was not on my work like it should have been. Every chance I got, I'd ride out into the pasture and look at that roan. He didn't move away like the other horses. He turned and faced me like a cougar.
Mm-hmm.
I knew that there was a horse who would fight to the last ounce of his strength, and it would be him or me. Well, one night it rained and wet the hay. So the next day, the crew didn't have anything to do but just kind of hang around.
Uh-huh.
Little did I guess that some of the boys had driven the horse herd into the corral, cut out the blue roan, put him in the round corral, and were saddling the outlaw with my rigging on his back.
Oh, how nice.
Well, he says, I was miles away, deep in my story, reading something. A hay hand walked in the door and said, "We got the blue roan saddled, and he's ready for you."
Oh, boy.
Well, suddenly my legs got weak. I sat down on the edge of my bunk. I was darned near paralyzed, he said. I couldn't think. This is what I've been dreading. I was sure of these tough Myrup boys couldn't ride that man killer. Neither could I. That horse would chop me into coyote bait.
Well, that was a nice outlook, wasn't it?
Yeah, looking forward to that, right?
Yeah.
I found myself automatically snapping on my leather cuffs, pulling on my chaps, buckling on my spurs, reaching for my hat. I did it all in a daze, mechanically. I could hardly walk as I went out the door and headed for the round corral. It was like walking to the gallows. I saw the men already sitting around on top logs waiting for the show to start. Then I saw the blue roan, and I blamed near fainted. The old outlaw was standing on 3 legs. One hind foot was tied up. My old familiar bronc saddle was laced on. He was blindfolded, and the red-headed blacksmith, who was as big and stout as a bull, had him eared down.
These guys were really nice friends.
Yeah. Now, eared down, Zeb, you know what that is?
Absolutely.
They grabbed some of them would actually bite the ear to keep the horse from,
Yeah.
So,
which leads one to think that maybe this is not going to be fun.
Yeah. Well, anyway, like I say, he was eared down, and he was blindfolded. The roan was standing as quiet as a kitten, but I knew he was only waiting patiently for his next victim.
Okay.
Me.
Yes.
I called on all the willpower I had to walk across the open space to the round corral gate. Every man was watching me intently. I did not dare show what I was thinking. When I reached the gate, I saw Joe with a .30-30 rifle leaning against the corral.
Wait, whoa. A gun?
Yeah, .30-30. And he says, I thought that was a funny place for his gun to be.
Yeah.
And we'll get to that.
Oh, I can't wait.
He says, I took an undue amount of time to open the gate, and as I walked through, I saw my first glimmer of hope. The blue roan was standing ankle deep in old, soft litter, manure, whatever, which had accumulated over a number of years, and the rain had softened it still a little more. Instinctively, I knew this litter was going to make it harder on the horse and easier on me.
Absolutely.
Now, I remember as a kid, Zeb, taking a young horse out into a plowed field. Because you know if they started bucking or whatever, they'd get tired pretty fast.
It's a great place to warm them up.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, just then, Joe reached my side and said, Shorty, you can ride that horse. You've always been better on a crooked horse than a stiff-legged bucker, and I know you can do it. Good luck.
Oh, good luck, yeah.
I'm glad it's you.
Key words.
Yeah. Well, then I was at the side of the outlaw. I took up more time by checking the rig, and he was just stalling.
Oh, I don't blame him, do you?
No, not a bit.
Okay.
He said, I could feel the strength come back to my legs. For some reason, I was losing my fear. This was work, quote, that I was familiar with, every phase of it. I took my loaded quirt from the saddle horn and tied a knot. Now, for the listeners, a quirt is just kind of like a short
it's a hand whip.
Kind of a hand whip, okay? Not very long, maybe, a couple of feet?
Yeah, it's
something long.
And it goes around your wrist.
Yeah. He says, I grabbed the horn, eased over, grabbed the reins in my left hand, found my stirrups, and settled into my saddle.
Now, this is where I think he would have trepidation.
Yes. Nodded my head at the blacksmith to turn him loose. Almost in one motion, the Irishman let go of the outlaw's ears, jerked the rope free of his hind leg, and lifted the blindfold off the horse.
And away we go.
I knew that I was probably astraddle the worst horse I'd ever been on. It was like sitting on top of a barrel of gunpowder. As the blind was jerked, I saw the roan's ears flatten. He turned his ugly head to the right and glared at me out of one droopy eye.
Really?
Can you just picture this, Zeb?
Oh, I can. I've been on one like that.
He says, I brought the heavy loaded quirt down between his hairy ears with a dull thud. He gave a coughing grunt, squatted, cocked his legs, pulled the trigger, and blew up. After 55 years, I can still remember that first vicious jump. He sprang sideways to the left, trying to get me off balance, then to the right, and lit so slanting like I could feel my foot touch the ground. Then left, then right. He wasn't getting rid of me, so he swapped in so fast I could see his rump. My brains, if any, were getting addled. Everything was jarring, whirling blur, but I still had my balance. At this point, he changed tactics. He pitched in a tight circle round and round until I was so dizzy I hardly knew anything at all. Then suddenly I realized that he was slowing down. He was beginning to tire, and my senses warned me about his teeth and how he dragged men out of the saddle. Well, I clubbed him alongside of his head and began to punish that outlaw with my spurs. I pounded him on top of the head a few more times to keep him from coming over backwards, and you've seen that.
Yep.
Horse rearing, coming over backwards.
Yep.
He says, I had lost all reason. My arm was getting tired. At last, the roan was making only feeble efforts, and I felt my own reason coming back. I lifted my spurs away from his body. He was stumbling to a halt. When the blue roan stopped dead still, I sat there a moment trembling. I had not wanted the horse to kill me, and now I found I did not want to kill him. As I eased myself out of the saddle, I could hardly stand. I had taken a beating also. As stability came back, I noticed the sweat and foam on the outlaw's body, and the blood, unfortunately. His trembling legs were spread wide apart and barely held him up. His head hung low, almost to the ground, and I felt sorry for him. A yell went up from the men who had been watching. It was a yell that a common rider like myself only hears once in a lifetime. As I turned to go, I saw Joe with the rifle in his hands, and suddenly I understood. He had given me the breaks in every way, the round corral, the soft litter, and if necessary, if he would have had to shoot the blue roan. And that's the story of the blue roan man killer and Shorty, the guy.
And you really don't know whatever happened, huh?
No, but you know, as you get to the end of that story, I kind of feel sorry for the horse, don't you? A little bit. I mean, here was a proud, magnificent animal. I think he must have been, and you know.
You and I are a little different there.
Yeah.
I don't feel sorry for the horse. Well, I'm looking at this like this poor guy was egged on and pushed to get on this horse. He didn't want to very bad.
No, he didn't.
And his friends had it all set up for him, and to save face and to save his character and personality, that's why he got on. And he rode him. He rode him.
Right.
And as far as sympathy for that man killer, I'm having a hard time trying to come up with any.
I guess my thoughts are a horse that is broken down. Do you know what I'm saying? Maybe there was once, not necessarily this horse, but some horses that proud, beautiful animals that maybe get just worked to death to where they no longer
I can understand
spirit.
that. I certainly can, and you want to care for all of them. But this horse, absolutely, he just didn't like people.
You know, a few years ago, I had a horse that. I had two young horses that I was working with, and I had a guy work with them a little bit for me, and he says, "Now watch out for that dun." He says, "He'll buck."
Yeah.
And so, actually, it was the 4th of July, a few years back, and I'd taken the one horse for a ride, came back, saddled the dun, went for a ride, got him kind of loosened up, and they said it's time to break into a little lope. So I kind of leaned forward just a touch to break him into a little gallop. Man, he unloaded me into the ground, dumped me into the dust and the dirt, and I thought, well, I'm going to get back on that horse. But when I got back over to him, I couldn't raise my arm to reach up to grab the saddle horn. Well, a year or so later, I had a guy who says, he wanted a horse. And I said, well, I got one for sale, but he's a bucker. And he said, oh, we can take that out of him. And I said, okay. So I sold the horse to him, and a couple of years later I said, whatever happened to that horse? He says, well, you were right. He said, we could ride him all day. He'd come back to the trailer, and all of a sudden he'd just break into bucking, and, he probably would have made a good bucking stock for a rodeo.
But with most of a horse's bad habits, they stem from a man's bad habits.
Yeah. And I don't know what happened with that one.
Yeah.
But anyway, I thought that was kind of. I like this story because it's told by the guy that it actually happened to. He was there, you know.
You know, and there's a couple of songs about the old roan that was written, an old cowboy tune song. And roans, for some reason, they've written a lot of stories and poetry about it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know, the old cattle herds, they did not like a colored horse.
No.
When they went to pick out their horses, they got, I think 10 each. The colored horses, palominos, paints, anything, they were the last ones to be chosen.
You remember the most famous old saying about bronc riders and horses?
I don't.
Never was a hoss that couldn't be rode. Never a cowboy that couldn't be thrown.
That's right. Anyway.
About the time you think you can ride anything, you can't.
yeah, and I've kind of given up on those days of...
You know, it's funny, age like you, I mean, you're so old now.
Right.
But you think about getting bounced off on your noggin, it's not fun.
No, I don't bounce like I used to.
No, neither one of us do.
No.
But anyway, that was a good story. And it took place right here in the state of Idaho.
Yep, up near Chalice and Salmon area.
I got to pay some bills, and we'll look forward to having you back next week.
I'll be here.
Okay. Maybe you'll ride in on your blue roan. Don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, on Thursdays we have a segment called Cassia County School Days. And it's brought to you by two great businesses. First of all, our deep thanks go to A Child's World at 1308 Overland in Burley. And they've got all the summer clothing, 25% off. Oh, my goodness, you better get in there and shop today. They've got all the baby clothing and all the baby furniture. They've got the games and the puzzles and the toys. They've got it all at A Child's World in Burley. And the other sponsor, of course, and that is Ambulatory Surgery Center at 1344 Highland in Burley. Number to call, 677-8888. For your outpatient surgeries, they can and they will save you money. Don't forget, they are the sponsors of Cassia County School Days, A Child's World, and Ambulatory Surgery Center. Thank you very much. Right now, we're going to send it back over to our main studios and have a little break. We'll be back in about 5 minutes.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Thank you, and we're on the home stretch for the last half hour of Zeb at the Ranch, and I get a chance to visit with one of my really good friends that I absolutely have a lot of respect for, and that's, of course, Senator Kelly Anthon, and I believe he's on the phone right now. Good morning, Kelly. How are you?
Good morning, Zeb. How are you doing?
I am great. You know, Kelly, here it is, almost midpoint of the summer when you start thinking about the 4th of July and Independence Day and everything. But tomorrow, a lot of activity going on over in your neck of the woods with the Rupert 4th of July celebration. All kinds of things have been going on for almost a week over there. But what about Independence Day and the 4th of July to you, a senator for the state of Idaho? What does it mean to you?
Well, Zeb, and thanks for that question. You know, first of all, I guess the first thing that comes to my mind as we just sit here today is July 3rd. That's the date that the state became the state of Idaho. So in 1890, the state of Idaho gained its statehood. We're just, few hundred, not quite a few hundred, but a little bit older anyway this year. 100 and whatever, 28 years or whatever it is. We've been a state, and so I always think of July 3rd as kind of Idaho Day, which is followed, of course, by Independence Day.
Mm-hmm.
And I know for us as a country, this should be an opportunity for us to pause and do some thinking. You mentioned this neck of the woods, Zeb. You know, I've been thinking about that. We're pretty darn blessed. If you look at Mini-Cassia area, all the way from Alamo out, we're seeing a lot of celebration of our independence. Alamo has a big celebration on the 4th. They're going to have a parade up there. Burley, of course, had a really great patriotic program on Sunday, and then on the 4th of July they have their fireworks. Albion is celebrating 150 years as a community this year. Now, it depends on who you talk to. They've had people there before 150 years, but this is the year anyway. They're celebrating 150 years as a community, and the governor of our state, Butch Otter, has signed a proclamation that tomorrow, July 4th, in addition to being our Independence Day, is for this year the Albion, Idaho Heritage and Patriots Day. And in his proclamation, he recognizes Albion's work over the years, since World War I, to have memorials that really recognize the sacrifices that people have made to keep our freedoms.
Absolutely.
And so I think that's pretty special for Albion, and I would encourage you, if you have nothing to do, you should be participating in one of these celebrations. And, of course, Rupert, we had our fireworks Saturday, great fireworks, patriotic program on Sunday, and, of course, the parade tomorrow. We're in a very blessed community where people are still taking time out this week to remember why it is that we're a nation, how we became a nation, and what it was that people were fighting for to become a nation separate from England.
Right.
That's a pretty big thing.
Kelly, with all that being said about Independence Day, our Constitution, our American values, etc., one of the questions I've had that I wanted to ask you about this morning is, it's great to go to a parade, it's great to go to a rodeo, it's great to go to the lawnmower races connected to the Rupert activities, etc., but how do we reinstill the patriotism to our youth today?
It's a great question as well, Zeb. And, it reminds me of something Ronald Reagan said. He said the ultimate determinant in the struggle that we have in the world is not bombs and rockets, he says, but it's a test of our will and our ideas, and it's a trial that's a spiritual trial. And we have to, he often talked about how we have to really fight for our children, and let our children and our children say that we did everything that we could do to preserve the freedom that we have. And you've heard me also quote Ronald Reagan. He used to also talk about how we're just one generation. If we let one generation drop from understanding why we have independence, how we gained independence, and how our Constitution works, we've all but lost the country. As I look at the community, we have some really good things happening to prevent that. So just to give you some examples, part of the patriotic program that we had in Rupert on Sunday was the involvement of our Minnecaja vets. And after that program, they talked to me at length about, their concerns that we continue to do flag education and that we do training on the Constitution. We have the Veterans of Foreign Wars. We have the American Legion. The American Legion is running an excellent program. I think it's one of the best programs that we have really in the United States to train youth on how the government works. And that's the GEM Boys State program or the Girls State program. If you have a young person who's approaching their senior year next summer, they need to be in Boise for the Boys State program. I spoke to that group this year, but the American Legion has made it a real important part of their organization to teach the youth about how the government works, but also the Constitution of the United States. So we have that. In our local community, our Rupert Veterans Memorial Group with George Mass and others, they're working to constantly bring to our awareness the importance of those who have fallen to defend our freedom. But also, part of that dialogue is letting people know it's not just that people died for, but what is it they died for?
Absolutely.
We ought to be talking about that. And so I think that's why I appreciate you, Zeb, and this program today, because it's not just about the hot dogs and the caramel corn and all the things that we love to have as part of these celebrations. It's taking time to pause and saying, a couple hundred years ago, we determined as a people that we didn't need a king anymore, and that there should be the rule of law. It shouldn't be that everything that surrounds us is determined by the whim of a king or a queen, and that the laws should be made by the people, and that they should be protected in their rights, the rights that God gave us. So it's a big day, and I'm just so thrilled that you've given me a chance to talk about it.
Well, let me ask you this, and it's not really a form of a question, but it's a statement. The other night, I was really disheartened, and I mean this, when I saw a news reporter go to a major beach in California and ask millennials, and they were probably all between the ages of 20 and 26 years of age, about what the meaning of Independence Day on the 4th of July was, and the meaning of 1776, etc. None of them none of them that were asked had any clue about it. And I'm saying to myself, where did we as a society drop the ball that people can't recognize? Our Declaration of Independence on July 4, 1776, and what was written, and these kids, these millennials, had no clue. Somebody really has dropped the ball.
Well, that's right, Zeb, and I see those things too, and to be honest, they're absolutely shocking to me when I see that. The Idaho Constitution, interestingly, the Idaho Constitution, when our state was founded, they put together a statement on education, and what they said about our education system was that it served for one purpose, and that was to protect our republic, so that people who grow up in Idaho have the education to understand the government and the representation that's needed, and be able to represent the people in the legislature and so forth. That's the sole purpose in the Idaho Constitution of having an education system. Now, there's a lot of other great things that we can do with the education system, and in fact we do, but at the end of the day, we should be turning out folks from our high schools and junior high schools and our elementary schools, for that matter, who understand the principles of good government and democracy and representative democracy. And so, to answer your question and kind of your concern, Zeb, I think that's where we need to focus as a government. But really, we should turn ourselves inward a little bit into our homes. The other thing I was thinking about is our churches. This patriotic program over here in Rupert, we had a good pastor from one of the Rupert churches give the opening prayer, and it really was very touching. And what he called upon in his message was that we remember these things, but also that we work together as a community of faith.
Right.
We have a lot of denominations, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But isn't it great when we can work together as a community in our churches to promote patriotism, love of country, and I see it every day. I'm going to see it tomorrow in the parade. But also in our homes, when we're around the dinner table, there's another thing Ronald Reagan talked about a lot, was, the country's made or broken often by what's going around the dinner table. So how you fix some of that, Zeb, I don't know how, but I would say that I think I know the place that it takes place. It's going to be in your home, it's going to be in your church, and it's going to be in the schools. And I think we have to approach those things and keep after them, or we're going to lose the country.
Well, and in that regard, I totally agree with you. But then, not to sound negative, but to be very bold-faced, honest about the situation that's going on in America today. We have a two-party system. One party, of course, has the power right now through the Trump administration to lead this country. The other party is a party of no, a party of hatred, a party of not doing anything or not wanting to get involved, a party that condemns everything that happens. So how can they be role models to the kids and the future generations when they have this much hatred and chaos?
Well, they can't, Zeb. And, a couple of things. When I was in high school in Declo, the Idaho State Senate was 50% Republican and 50% Democrat. That's a far distance from where we are today, where we have 29 Republicans and 6 Democrats. Now, I'm a Republican, so that doesn't bother me all that much. But I will tell you that I think what's happened to the Democrat Party is a turning away from some of the traditional values that made them great,
right,
and some of the American values that made them great. And what we're seeing is this evolving of the Democrat Party away from, in my opinion, American values. If you look at some of the most recent New York primary, where a celebrated socialist has won a seat, or at least a chance to get a seat in Congress,
right,
and it's unabashed anti-capitalism, anti-institutions that have made the country great, it makes me pause and say, I don't know how that party is representing any of my Idaho values anymore. And so I hate to be partisan about it, but I think that, as time has gone on, that party has left a lot of Idahoans behind. I really believe that. I've known many, many good people in the Mini-Cassia area, I still know them, who identify as Democrats, but I think that the values that they hold dear are not the ones that the National Party's taken forward anymore.
We've got to do something, I think, and hopefully with thoughts and prayers on Independence Day tomorrow, and maybe some gazing up to that red, white, and blue flag, whether it's over a rodeo arena or whether it leads a parade procession. People have got to pray for a coming together, like I said in the first hour, of common sense and common decency, because that's what we've got away from.
I agreed. Zeb, one other thing. I got the privilege about a week and a half ago to go to Washington, D.C. I was invited to the White House where, among other people, I met Vice President Pence. He spent about 10 minutes with us. It was legislators and county commissioners from rural areas in Idaho and also in Utah. And he spent about 10 minutes with us, and he impressed me a lot, basically with the message you just described. And what he asked us to do, and this is a good bit of advice as we go into Independence Day, is for all of us to pray for the unity that we need as a country, but also pray that not necessarily that our side wins or their side loses or any of those things, but that rather than our will being done, that we, all of us as Americans, align our will with God.
Absolutely.
And that our country is aligned in its principles and its policies and those things, that we align it with God. And I think, honestly, that's what our founders meant to do. I think that they're setting up a country where we could, in our conscience, be a moral and a good country, and that we could exercise some of this faith that we have to bring about a better place for all of us. And in fact, we have. There's no better place in the entire world, in all the history of all mankind, has there never been as great a country as the United States. We should be proud of that.
You know, and you bring up an excellent point right there. The greatest country ever in the history of the world, and yet I saw an interview this morning with about 8 or 9 different millennials that were college students, and they were asked if they were proud of the United States, and I think they were just falling in lockstep with their peers, and they said, oh no, I can't be proud of this country. Why, I'd rather live over in Scandinavia or someplace. You know what, Kelly? That's the naivete of the youth in our country today. They don't really know. They've never had to suffer, and this country is affording them every opportunity if they just wake up and take advantage of it.
It's an ignorant and naive position. It is not based in any kind of historical understanding. And the fact of the matter is, even when I spoke to Boise State this year, I talked about American exceptionalism. That there really, truly, honestly, has never been any other system of government before the Constitution of the United States was written and adopted that allowed people more freedom, more opportunity, more upward mobility, more opportunity to succeed as a family. Never in the history of all the world has there been anything like the U.S. Constitution and the form of government that we set forward all those years back in 1776 and then in 1787 that has created more prosperity even. There has never been more prosperity ever created than in the United States, and that's because we chose and fought for freedom.
Absolutely.
And so it is naive. It's unfortunate. We've got a lot of work to do. And we should be challenging our universities. We should be challenging these liberal professors that are kind of spewing this stuff out. We should put a stop to it.
Absolutely. Now, when you and your family get together tomorrow on Independence Day, what are some of the things, family traits or habits or things that you do every year on Independence Day? What about the Anthon House?
Well, we love to go to the celebrations. We're going to be in the parade. We're going to have I'm going to be in the parade. The kids are going to be watching the parade in Rupert. We've kicked around trying to get up to Almo. You know, my family's from Almo. My mother's from Almo. So we try to hit the celebrations. Of course, you know, it's all about family time. That's what I think, and I think it's the same for you, Zeb. These holidays are a time to take a break from work, spend time together, and really appreciate the things that make the country great and why we do the things we do, and that's for our family.
Absolutely. You know, Kelly, I've said this on the air many, many times. You are an excellent senator and representative for the people as a state senator of the state of Idaho, Kelly Anthon. And to you, your family, and for all the things you do to help other people, I salute you and I say thank you. And I hope you and your family have a very happy Independence Day tomorrow.
Well, thanks, Zeb, and God bless you. And to all of our listeners, prayers to uphold the country, uphold the Constitution, and have a safe and very wonderful Independence Day.
And by the way, if you make any homemade ice cream, you know my telephone number. I'll be there in 30 minutes.
It melts by the time I got to your house.
Hey, Kelly, thank you. God bless. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good one.
All right. Fine gentleman right there. Senator Kelly Anthon talking about Independence Day, and we sincerely appreciate him. Right now, let's have a look at our weather, and the weather brought to you by Scarrows Meats at 331 North Road, Jerome. The number to call, 324-7657. Oh, all the delicious meats. You know what? You had better get over there and check out all the great things they've got for barbecues tomorrow. I'm telling you what, they've got marinated pork ribs, and they've got the St. Louis style where most of the bones are removed, and they've got a couple of barbecue packages for just $99. One has tri-tips, the other doesn't, and oh my goodness, the information about these meats just making my mouth water. All the different buckboard bacons and the breakfast sausages and the bratwurst, it's all there. It's all there at Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. The number to call, 324-7657. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Here's your weather forecast as we are on the eve of Independence Day, and we're expecting sunny skies with a high of 75, slightly breezy winds out of the west, right around 15 miles an hour. We are expecting gusts as high as 25 tonight, mostly clear with a low of 43. Tomorrow for Independence Day, sunny and beautiful, expecting a high of 88. Mostly clear skies for Wednesday evening with a low of 55. It is going to be windy for Wednesday night as well. Thursday, sunny skies with a high of 94. Then by Friday, sunny and hot, close to triple digits. That's your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
And brought to you by our dear friends Don Scarrow and the crew at Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. The number to call, 324-7657, or go to their website, scarrowsmeats.com. They are, at Scarrows Meats, changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time. I want to say a great big shout out and thank you to our major sponsor, and that's, of course, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you right here in the Magic Valley. And, of course, if you're going to take a road trip, you get in there and make sure that you've got safe tires. Make sure that you have your brakes checked. They've got the best of brake service and front-end alignments and shocks and struts and batteries, all of this and more. But the key word is service. They really take care of you for your safe driving. So stop in and see Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Pole Line in Twin Falls, and my buddy Randy on Overland in Burley. They are simply the best. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Well, I talked to Wheels earlier this morning, and we're going to kind of go out of the program with a little patriotism and some special music. But I want to urge each and every one of you, honestly, whether you're at a parade, a rodeo, or a family event, stop. Like I said, first hour, look up at that flag and remember and give thanks that all of us live in the greatest country ever on the face of the earth, the United States of America. And remember all the blood, sweat, and tears and the lives that have been given so that we can still enjoy, as a family, as a group, as population of this great country, Independence Day, USA. God bless you and your families. I hope it's the best Independence Day ever. And Wheels, if you would please, this song to take us out of here for today. I'll see you next Monday on Zeb at the Ranch.